Hey, travel news that you need to know this week. We'll talk about a new credit card offer that will help you score your next international award tickets. We'll tell you why you should be paying attention to the Alaska Airlines mileage plan program, including this new credit card offer, and their new Seattle to Rome service, which is one of the destinations that's included in their new promo rewards to fun places like Lisbon, Rome, and Bangkok. We're also talking about the new Capital One lounge changes. All venture cardholders are going to want to hear about this. Changes are definitely painful, but there are some ways to help mitigate these negative changes. Richard takes his first spin around one of the standard hotels, which were recently integrated into the World of Hyatt program. These properties look like really nice additions. And we wrap up with a look at the way Hyatt is now displaying all of the promos you're eligible for in the app. All that on this week's Miles to Go podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to the Miles to Go podcast. I am sitting here in Las Vegas at the Hilton at Resorts World. Mr. Kerr looks to be at home. We've got a lot to cover today. We're probably going to have to leave a few topics on the cutting room floor for future weeks that are ripe for talking about, but there's just a lot going on right now, including something I'm sure that you and I will disagree on, Mr. Kerr, the recent Cap One Venture lounge changes. How the heck are you?
Why would we disagree on that? But I guess we'll get to it. I am
We'll see.
fresh off the road, off another week in New York City. Not even a week, really. I just three nights this go around. But it was fine. New York in the spring is great, except for the substantial increase in traffic that the congestion pricing is not sorted, and the ability to never take high-speed rail or public transportation quickly and efficiently to any of the three airports. 4 if you include Westchester. I don't fly private. Teterboro doesn't count. I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about your first standard hotel experience. I'm stalking standard hotel room availability in London right now. But before we dig into that, we've got a review from a listener. And even before the review, Mr. Kerr, I just want to say I understand this will be a little bit of blasphemy, but
Is it a plastic bottle?
Glass bottles.
Ugh.
For those watching on video, we're opening the Topo Chico live. That's the sound for those listening.
That's the sound of more microplastics in your body. Enjoy that.
It is. But I need after having been gone all week, I need my Topo Chico fix.
But it's in a plastic bottle, so
Somebody needs to reach out to Topo Chico and get us a sponsorship because we love the product. We talk about them way too much.
you can't sponsor plastic bottles, though. That's for sure.
Well, we just have to bring glass with us. All right. So Melissa Midori gave us a 5-star review. What a great podcast! Genuine rapport and deep travel and points and miles knowledge. Thank you for a glimpse into business travel as well as family travel. Thank you for being my entertainment in my daily commute. Mr. Kerr, you are very entertaining. I'm happy to be back here with you. Thanks to Melissa for that great review.
Next time, make it 6 stars, Melissa. Jeez, don't get skimpy on us. Tipping culture means you have to leave a 6 now.
Thank you.
Tip for everything.
Thank you. All right, let's talk about your standard hotel stay. I think just to set this up for folks, there's about a half a dozen properties that were added to the Hyatt system. We talked about these a couple weeks ago when they were added. There's a couple of new openings coming later this year, so not a ton of new properties, but in some cool markets like New York, London, and some stuff overseas.
Dude, as of this month, it is officially 6 years of commuting back and forth between Atlanta and New York City, and I am always excited when a new hotel in the Hyatt operation opens up, so I get some new digs. So the standard East Village is where I was at because it is a very, very short walk to the built office in NoHo, where there's just kind of a void of hotels in New York City. And look, man, I had a great stay. Cool property, lots of F&B outlets, a little garden outside area. The weather was perfect this week, so they had the main bar and breakfast restaurant kind of have the doors open in the morning. I got upgraded to a full 1-bedroom suite, which was going for like $2,000 a night, and I booked a base room. I thought for the very most part, I thought the room was great. It is a living area room with panoramic windows and its own bathroom, and then a bedroom. Again, huge windows in the standard hotels, great views of the East Village. Great, all the things I like, the old man things, right? Shower pressure, awesome. Actually get the soap out of you. I thought the bed was super comfortable. They left me a nice little welcome amenity of a fresh fruit plate and a nice little note. Breakfast is no daily cap in the restaurant or room service, and there is no dollar amount. So, ladies and gentlemen listening to this, please don't ruin that for the rest of us. Please please. I know that's, the most fruitless statement ever said on this website or this podcast. And everybody was super friendly. I had obviously gone through the World of Hyatt training. The front desk people had little World of Hyatt lapel badges on, and they welcomed me being a globalist and went through the benefits. They don't have a gym, but directly across the street is a Crunch Fitness place. If you're familiar with that, a huge franchise gym that you get a day pass to anytime you want to go over there. So, man, I just really enjoyed it. It was great. I'm sure I'm not always going to get a suite, but I thought it was just a fantastic stay. And for me personally, being a 4-minute walk to the office, dude, like that is just doesn't get any better than that. It's a category 6, I think. So it's going to be a lot of points if you want to stay there. But again, can get really pricey. Was not by any means the most affordable place, but New York City, again, was just insanely expensive this week everywhere. It was no more expensive than any of the other Hyatts that I typically stay at. I have been over to the Standard Highline, I think is the name of the other one. We had a company event at the top floor restaurant that's got panoramic views of the Highline and the river. Really great place. That seems to be, from my searching, more expensive than the East Village place or location. But man, I'm telling you, for the foreseeable future, I think I've got my place in New York that I'm going to be staying. It was just wonderful.
Yeah, so you are correct. Both the East Village and the Highline property are Category 6 properties. That's 21 to 29,000 points a night, if I remember correctly. And Highline is located on the west side, just south of the Javits Center. To your point, New York hotels aren't cheap. I think 2 decent additions to the World of Hyatt program, especially when you consider that pretty much any hotel you really want to stay at in New York has already been associated with a points program, if it's ever going to be associated with a points program. So to pick up some cool new properties, I think is definitely a plus.
It was great.
Thanks for the report, Mr. Kerr.
Yeah.
I know we still need to cover my Tokyo trip because there's some stuff that's a little bit more time sensitive. Again, we're going to hold off on that for just another week. The standard hotel stuff seemed a little bit more timely for folks who are considering these properties that are brand new part of the Hyatt system. And then we've got to talk about these Cap 1 changes. But a little bit of housekeeping first. If you want to text us or leave us a voicemail, 571-293-6659. He is at Kerr Points on all those social media channels. I am at Pizza in Motion. Miles to Go podcast on TikTok and Instagram. And just a quick note from our Slack community. If you want to join us there, a couple bucks a month to be a part of the show. Weekly happy hours. Sadly, no happy hour this week. Too many business dinners this week, but maybe we'll squeeze one in this weekend. Some meetups, a bunch of channels in Slack where you can ask questions of travel experts like Richard and I. Thanks and a shout out to new member Dan S. and some of our cool existing members who've supported us for quite some time. Reed, Jeff S., Tracy, Amit, and then our friend May, who is definitely a big Disney fan like you and I, Mr. Kerr, but she cited a new Chase offer that's right up both of our alleys. So text your Chase offers. I think most folks that listen know what Amex offers are, and you're probably tuned into them. Maybe you don't spend as much time on the Chase offers like me. I don't spend as much time on them. I probably should. But this targeted Chase offer is $100 cash back when you spend $600 with Chase Travel in a single transaction, which isn't hard to do on a hotel stay, Mr. Kerr.
Or flights, for that matter, if you're flying Delta out of Atlanta. Super easy, one way. New York to LaGuardia, or LaGuardia to Atlanta, $600. Get $100 back.
Yeah, I'm going to take a brief segue here, too, in terms of topics and just say I was also encouraged by some folks in the Slack community that I should change the way I'm booking my airline tickets.
Oh, yeah?
Just because of how, So I guess a quick recap. At time of recording, Mr. Kerr and I have what can only be described as depressingly low balances in our Bilt rewards accounts because I sent every point I could from Bilt to Accor to pay for my summer vacation as part of that incredible 200% transfer bonus that you guys had.
That makes 2 of us.
And so now I'm like, gosh, I really need more of these. And as somebody pointed out to me, one of the things I might consider, which is probably why I need an Amex Platinum and not an Amex Biz Platinum, would be to use my something like an Amex Platinum and book my work trips through the Bilt travel portal so that I could earn more Bilt points on my airline tickets.
Yeah, it is 1 extra Bilt point per dollar of airfare. That is when you are using all cash, not if you're using points to do that. A little bit of inside baseball on how our new portal works. If you haven't checked it out, please go do that over at Bilt.com. We are just passing your credit card information over to the airlines if you're using all cash. so that the airline is a merchant of record, not Built Traveler, any OTA or anything like that, which means you get 5X on your personal Amex Platinum card, and then you'll get the 1X Built point on top. And you tend to book a lot of airfare. So if everybody's like, ooh, 1X point, it's like, it's 1X bonus point. Don't poo-poo stacking rewards, people. And
Stacking is incredible.
And Mr. Pizzarello books a lot of airfare. So I would imagine, what is it going to take? At least 28,000 with United to get 1K if I have that number correct. So I will take 28,000 extra Built points if that's possible.
Well, the good news is if you fly 60 segments, you only need to spend $22,000 with United. So if you want to get on 60 airplanes this year, you can only spend 22. And if you can find a way to pay for 60 flights for less than $22,000. I was
about to say, I just did the math here. $366.67 per segment in order to spend only $22,000. But I think some of your Vegas flights have cost more than that, if memory serves correct.
Just a few. All right, well, let's dig into what has to be the topic of the week, which is the too good to be true, and now is too good to be true, ending of Capital One's pretty generous lounge access. So for folks that maybe aren't aware, there are two ways you access lounges with Capital One Venture X cards. I would say it's currently one of the most generous lounge benefits of any card, and partly because the annual fees on these cards are pretty reasonable and come with pretty reasonable travel credits to burn down that annual fee. Only a handful of Capital One lounges around the U.S. And so you can get unlimited access along with your guests, 2 guests if I remember correctly, and your authorized users for your card get the same thing. And you also get priority pass access, and both of these are changing. So as of, let me just find the date here, it should be as of February of next year. You no longer get free guests with your Capital One Venture X or Venture X business card. But now guests will be $45 per visit or $25 for 17 and under. And it doesn't matter if these are related family members, where a lot of lounges will give you, quote unquote, family members for free. So you'd have to add an authorized user card potentially to get a family of 4 in for a reasonable price. Additional card holder is $125 a year. And then the priority pass access is changing as well. Same thing, February 1st, 2026. Guests will cost $35 per visit. Mr. Kerr, what's your 2 cents?
Too good to be true. We knew that. Probably some people bring in lots and lots of guests in there. Was there a cap? I've brought my family of 4 and never been charged at the Capital One lounges. Actually, just walked by the new Capital One lounge under construction in LaGuardia's Terminal B. They got the whole area walled off, and it looks like it's not too far away from opening. But yeah, they were too crowded. Always going to be the problem of having airport lounge access. What I would suggest doing is, exactly what Mr. Rappaport suggested as well. You just get your own card. Don't pay whatever the authorized user fee, $125 a year to have lounge access.
$125.
Don't do that, right? Because if you get your own $395 card, you're going to get the welcome offer, which is, can go up and down, but upwards sometimes of 100,000 Capital One miles. You're going to get your $300 travel credit. And that really brings the annual fee down to $95. Plus, I'm sure you get some kind of TSA global entry, something or other that knocks it down.
Yep.
So then you're at most paying $95 for years of lounge access for yourself. You don't have to worry about any kind of other shenanigans. So if you are in a 2-player mode, don't do an authorized user. Just get your own Venture X if you can qualify for that. Otherwise, not too surprising. Places are good. Places are crowded. I think Capital One lounges are far and above Amex Centurion lounges now. I think I've been to Centurion Lounge once this year and just won't go out of my way to go do that. I don't have an Amex Platinum card anymore. So really like those lounges, know the footprint's expanding, but not too terribly surprising that they had to cut down on the access.
Yeah, I felt like they definitely were going to have to do something. I actually like this change because I do think it'll thin out the lounges. Right now, I'd say probably... easily half of the time that I clear security at Dulles, I can see people milling around outside the Capital One lounge at Dulles, and so I know not even to bother walking over because I'm not going to wait in line, even though it's a nice lounge. I think to your point, these are in my opinion, the best domestic U.S. lounges right now, and so if this helps them keep a good variety of food, clean lounges, things repaired, all that stuff, then I'm all for it. I agree with you on Howie's suggestion of get the second card, and just because that travel credit is so easy to use with this card, definitely think that's a plus there. Obviously, if you can't qualify for the card, the authorized user benefit is there to help you. You have until February of next year to take advantage of the current lounge benefits, but changing. And so, hopefully next year we'll see a little bit less overcrowding of the Capital One lounges.
Yeah, I need to look up. I can't remember the footprint of the lounges off the top of my head or everywhere that they're scheduled to open, but there are several coming. And again, I just mentioned the one in LaGuardia that doesn't look too far away from opening up. Would be nice if they threw a little Atlanta action in there. I'm telling you, the Sky Club in LaGuardia yesterday, first of all, they built an entire new massive sea terminal just for Delta at LaGuardia. So all that flies out of there is huge. One Sky Club for the massive new terminal. Always a line out the wazoo as soon as you clear security to get in there. I got to the airport a little bit early yesterday, had to take a meeting. The only time I care about Sky Club, that is the only lounge in Terminal C. Waited 15 minutes in line because I'm not Delta Diamond or not Delta One or not 360. So you got to stand in the normie lounge. I was so underwhelmed with that lounge yesterday. Like nowhere to sit, crowded, buffets empty, employees standing behind the buffets just chit-chatting rather than refilling the buffet. And just like, blah. I was like, this we got to rethink this one here at LaGuardia Terminal C. It's just not going to cut it. So I thinking about that. I was in the line yesterday. I was like, oh yeah, Capital One lounge would be nice here, but it's over in B. But like, I don't care about airport lounges at all anymore. Like this, getting rid of the Amex Platinum and not flying American, so I can't go into the Admirals Club every time. Not that that's particularly great lounge in Atlanta at all, but like I just don't care, man. Like it's not worth it for the most. If I didn't have to take that call yesterday and just reaffirmed again, I have 9 more Delta Sky Club visits for the rest of this year. I'll be surprised if I use those actually.
I'm surprised you haven't used them up because you really got off to a quick start.
Yeah.
But I mean, I figured there would be like the occasional meeting or something where, just given that you've had a pretty bad run of luck with delays, you'd end up sitting in a lounge waiting on a delay or something like that.
We were on time yesterday with Delta. It was awesome. The only problem is I boarded last like I typically do. Said the overhead bins were full, so they gate checked my suitcase. My gate check bag did not make it on our flight. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Never seen that before. So actually sitting here waiting on my bag to be delivered from the Atlanta airport. Not sure how Delta got that one, man, but just a bad run of luck with those boys in Atlanta. I've said enough about that this year.
Yeah, I have. We had a gate check bag on our way to Halifax for a family trip, our daughter's bag, and it ended up in St. Louis. So these things do happen. Airlines and moving things they're not always a perfect science. As far as lounges coming up, JFK and LaGuardia are the two that are announced. I wouldn't be surprised if that new E or F, the new F terminal at DFW, if they didn't try to get in there. I think like when you talk about things like Atlanta, I use Chicago as an example, LA. I mean, there's so many lounge spaces that are already taken. So, I think for Cap One and Chase, the two companies that are trying to grow the most in this lounge space, they're really got to jump on these new terminals because the existing airports that are out there, there just aren't a lot of new spaces where you can build something. Construction costs are so pricey. I mean, United built a Polaris lounge in a place where a lounge didn't exist at Dulles, but I mean, that was a really, really pricey effort for them. So taking over existing space or finding a cheap place to construct a lounge, it's just tough.
They're already in DFW. Think about another one? No.
Yeah. Well, but think about it. DFW has more daily departures than Atlanta does. American does at least. And so, I mean, and they're adding a whole other terminal. It really wouldn't surprise me if they added a second one because you'll have effectively 6 full terminals there. So it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, American's got 5 or 6 clubs in that airport. So wouldn't surprise me if they look, I mean, somebody's going to be fighting for whatever lounges they're going to build in that premium terminal when it opens, in that new terminal. And so like Cap One, Chase, Amex, I'm sure will all be fighting to put lounges in there.
Let me see how I say this without divulging too much. For the day job, we briefly looked into what it would take to have lounge access for our members.
And then ran away.
I have no idea how these companies are doing this. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Do not get it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, just the cost of construction in a normal situation is unbelievable right now. We're building, as you know, a massive flagship Five Guys location in Vegas, millions and millions of dollars to build it, and that's in an existing building with no restrictions on how to get in or access or anything like that. Building in an airport, forget it. I mean, and then operating an airport, like, just no, thank you.
No, thank you.
Nope, not gonna do it. All right, well, We're going to go from Cap One to Alaska, not Alaska the state, Mr. Kerr, just to be clear. The Alaska Airlines credit card. And I want to get your opinion on this new offer. So, offer is a 75,000 mile a sign up offer that also comes with a companion fare certificate. So, you need to spend $3,000 on the card in the first 90 days, and you get a companion fare ticket worth $99. It's a $99 fare for your companion fare. And then you get the 75,000 miles. And if I remember correctly, I think you can use these companion fares on at least their domestic first class flights. So something like to Hawaii. With some of the new international stuff, I'm not sure if this companion fare qualifies for that. But I'm curious what you think about this as a credit card offer for folks to be looking at.
Yeah, and shout out to Alaska for announcing Seattle to Rome as the first Europe flights.
You got ahead of me there, man. I got a little factoid on that one.
Exciting. Look, there's no such thing as too many Alaska miles. We've talked about how many Amex points to shoot over to Hawaiian. I just got the entire family of 4 back from Europe for 55,000 Alaska miles each in business class and only $26 in YQ. Bullish on it. If you can pick up the card, if you can qualify, I think another 75,000 Alaska miles. Got to replenish those on my side. I am going to send the vast majority of my Amex points over to Hawaiian to come into the new program. And then I really have just not had time to be in picking up a whole bunch of new card game. I got Mrs. Kerr, the CSP when it was 100K a few months ago, but myself, I don't think I've picked up a new card in a year. Due to pick up some sign-up bonuses here to replenish what this Europe trip's taken out of it for the 4 of us. And I'm very bullish on this one to replenish my Alaska balance.
Yeah, I think and I think just given how much, with Hawaiian folding in the mix, how much lift you have to a place like Hawaii, that companion certificate, if you're thinking about going to Hawaii at any point, I mean, easily going to pay for itself. I mean, Hawaii fares, there's been some softening there, but it's still not a cheap place to get to. And if I'm right, and you can use that on a domestic first class ticket, then a great value there. And then interesting factoid on Seattle Rome, Mr. Kerr. You're a smart guy, so I'm sure you'll get this right.
Debatable.
How can you name the other airlines that have flown Seattle to Rome nonstop?
Alitalia?
No. Nobody has ever flown Seattle to Rome nonstop. This is the first time the route's ever been flown.
When they came out with that route, I was like, that's weird. I was like, I wonder what the Seattle to Rome, capacity is. They saw something we didn't know about. But maybe it's easier to get into than trying to get into London as a new airline, or trying to get into Paris as a new airline. Maybe FCO was excited to entertain the new airline coming in.
Fiumicino. Yeah, so here's the thing. I tend to think that Rome has almost unlimited demand, sort of like Hawaii and obviously Japan right now. I don't think you could stick enough flights from the U.S. into Rome and not be able to fill them. We did get lucky and get some award flights out of there this year that was surprising to me. But, like one of the big things about Rome is it doesn't have a lot of primary airports. So you can get to Milan from the U.S. from a handful of places. And then you've got Delta has that one flight to Catania and Sicily. There's just not a lot of other nonstop flights into Italy. And so Rome just is everybody's jumping off point. Train network is great out of there. And so I'd be really surprised if they can't make money on Seattle Rome. I would imagine there'll be a lot of demand to fill that plane. And, given the strength of the Alaska West Coast network, I'm sure there'll be a lot of connecting traffic on it too.
Got to see how many Catholics live out on the West Coast. I want to go see the Vatican, especially with our new American Pope. I mean, it's got to be a huge driving factor, right, for the Catholics around the world to go to the Vatican and check it out.
At certain times of year, yeah. I mean, if you're doing, spring break flights when you're in that traditional Passover and all that stuff season, that's a very peak time to try and get from the U.S. to Europe. And so it's a very, 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 very busy time at the Vatican. But yeah, I think it's really interesting to see how Alaska is using some of the long haul stuff they have. The other thing that they announced some promo flights. This is something new that they're doing. They're called Global Getaways. Up to 50% off award flights. The collection of flights that they have advertised right now, these are booked through the end of June for travel through the middle of November. Bangkok, Argentina, Lisbon, Naples, Monterrey in Mexico. It's an interesting one on that list. And Tbilisi. So just a lot of...
What in the world is that collection of cities? I saw that list that just before we started recording, and I was like, I mean, this is, great. It's like Flying Blue Promo Awards kind of, but this is a really eclectic mix of destinations here. Tbilisi, Georgia. All right. Which One World partners are you using to get there? It's British Airways fly from London. I don't do Finnair. Like, I don't know.
Probably, yeah, but they probably both do. Tbilisi does have coverage in Europe for sure. I mean, I don't know that there's anybody flying to it from the U.S. nonstop. I don't think United would be the only one that I would think that would do it.
I don't. Even as a Georgia resident, I don't know much about the country of Georgia, but always been intrigued.
All right, so let's close out with a trivia question for you, Mr. Kerr, on Alaska before we.
Does it have anything to do with silent letter words?
God, I hope not. I mean, I really hope not, because I did sort of like want to go down a rabbit hole because I want to try and figure out what would flight timing look like for this flight and all that stuff. So here's your question, Mr. Kerr. How many miles is it to fly from Seattle to Rome?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to go, obviously we're doing the Great Circle route. We're not going.
I got gcmap.com pulled up with the number.
Let's call it 7,981.
Not even close.
Okay, yeah, perfect. There you go.
5,688 miles, which is still a pretty long flight.
Only 5,000 miles? Oh, well, I guess if you go all the way kind
5,600.
Is that up and over? That's kind of up.
It is the way that they show the map. It goes up and right over Greenland, right, okay, and then back down over the UK and into Rome as the curvature of the Earth would have it. And as announced, this will be on a 787-9 Dreamliner. Leaves at 6 p.m. from Rome. Lands at 1:45 in the afternoon.
That's a long day.
So
long day to get out of that hotel.
It is, but especially if you're not adjusted to that time zone yet, Seattle, like this is how you're connecting from, say, the central or the mountain, you can get a pretty decent amount of sleep on a flight that long. It's going to be 10 or 11 hours.
What's the other way around? What times do they leave Seattle inland row?
Yeah, the other time around is like pretty reasonable. 3:45 p.m. departure, lands at 6 o'clock. So you could actually have you could do one of two things. You could connect from anywhere in Italy or any of the surrounding stuff, Sardinia and all that stuff. So easy to get back to Fiumicino and then out to home, or have a very leisurely breakfast, Mr. Kerr, before heading to the airport and traveling back to Seattle. Now, onward traffic from Seattle at 6 o'clock, that's going to be a little bit dicey. But I think the outbound timing for a 6 p.m. departure from Seattle lines up really well from a connecting flight standpoint. You could connect on both ends because you get the landing at 1:45. You could easily connect to Sardinia or Sicily or anywhere else you need to go in Italy.
Yeah, not a fan of hanging around when you got to check out of a hotel at 10 or 11 in Europe until 6 p.m. flights. Probably wouldn't be my first choice.
I just got to say, Mr. Kerr, you have obviously not had breakfast at some of the best patisseries in
Does breakfast go until 6 p.m.? I don't.
No, it doesn't. But the flight's 3:45, Mr. Kerr. So 3:45. So I get up.
I thought you said breakfast. Leaves Rome at 6 and lands at 1:45.
Leaves Seattle at 6. Leaves Rome at 3:45.
Jeremiah, we got to hit the replay on that. I don't know, man. I don't think that's what was said. Replay it.
Work with me. Work with me, Mr. Kerr.
I was
work with me.
6 p.m. departure. That's really late. What? All right.
So Mr. Kerr is throwing the flag. So we'll see. We'll see where we end up there. This will be on a 787-9 Dreamliner. Leaves at 6 p.m. from Rome. Lands at 1:45 in the afternoon. Leaves at 6 p.m. from Rome. 6 p.m. from Rome. 6 p.m. from Rome. 6 p.m. from Rome. Last thing to close out this week before you and I get back to our day jobs is a pretty cool tech update from Hyatt. One of the things that I think folks have lamented about Hyatt is that even though they have some generous promotions that are targeted, it can be hard to figure out what you're eligible for and what your status is on those promos. And now we'll put some screenshots up of what this looks like, but now you can see all of the promos you're eligible for in the Hyatt app. You can sign up for all of them. They're very visible in a tile format, and it also tracks your progress. And this goes beyond just promos. As you know, there's a meeting planner spending category for earning elite qualifying nights with Hyatt. And we planned the Freddies at a Hyatt property earlier this year, Chicago Athletic Association, and I can even see my meeting spend tracking in this new set of promo tiles. So definitely a cool little tech update, and people should absolutely be paying attention to these because there are some pretty generous ones, including what just wound down the 777 bonus points per night for staying at any of the Hyatt Vegas properties.
Yeah, long overdue, but always a fan of the member-friendly UI, UX, and a mobile application. Good job, Hyatt.
All right, Mr. Kurt, talk to me and tell me, where are you going? I heard campouts last time. We talked about rolling the trailer. I don't want to hear about those again.
Okay.
So tell me something.
Then I'm not going anywhere.
Tell me something that will make me excited. Tell me you're going somewhere other than camping.
I am going camping. As of actually after this recording here, I've got about another 2 hours of meetings, and then we're headed out. We got another Rival Dads weekend. We got 9 dads and 18 kids, 16 of which are under 6 years old, going camping this weekend on the lake.
Wow.
So we're going to have a great time. Right after that, the kids are going to a junior ranger camp at a Georgia State Park, and we are camping again. And then right after that, we head off to drop off Lady M and Mr. T at their first stay away from home camp by themselves, which they are very excited about, during which time I will be going to New York City.
You should bring Emily with you.
All of which leading up till the big trip at the end of July. So I really enjoy the RV. Again, Starlink, I can get the high-speed internet and just work and be out somewhere besides sitting in my office or sitting in New York City. So big fan of it, man. It's a busy few weeks ahead, but that's no different than every other week around here.
I hear you. I'm still stuck in Vegas for a couple more days to finish out the week, and then I come home and repack and leave for Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Las Vegas. Yeah.
We do have a Nova Scotia trip planned a little bit later in the month, which I'm pretty excited about. Our family, I have family that live up in rural Nova Scotia. We always love that area of the world, and I got to tell you, man, it's Canada's really cheap to get to right now. Those tickets are usually, unless I can get lucky, we're paying a pretty penny for cash tickets, or we're paying 20 or 25,000 miles one way to get to Halifax, and we are paying 8,000 Advantage miles per seat to fly one way to Halifax. So pretty excited about that. Not really excited about having to come back to Vegas again, but as you and I both know, work calls, and we have to do the work stuff to earn the points for the fun stuff, like being able to burn all of our built points at various Accor properties across Europe.
I can't wait, man. This is going to be great. I'm going to put that program to the test as well. Like all the things about using your points at checkout to cover like F&B purchases or ancillary purchases. But here's my one fear is, again, I think we alluded to the safari coming up, and I really want to book that Fairmont property and have a free safari. And I have all the points to do that now, but that means I can't use them a year. I just don't have enough points. I need more Accor.
Yes.
How do you get more Accor points as a North American? Don't know, but coming to you soon on the Miles to Go podcast. We're going to check it out.
I know exactly how to get more Accor points. You convince Richard to do another Built Rent Day promo.
I would have to convince the people in Paris to do that again as well, which I think they would.
Yeah, let's get that going, because I don't have enough Accor points to cover all of my stays this summer, and I do love my Fairmonts. All right, Mr. Kerr, safe camping.
Yeah, man, we got to keep the eye on the weather. The dads are monitoring the weather down here in Georgia. It has been insanely rainy down here. And usually in the springtime in Georgia, when the storms come through, you got a pretty strong line of thunderstorms that's moving at a rapid pace and can knock things over pretty good for 10, 15 minutes. Then you got the rain. So hoping to avoid any of those strong lines of storms. We can handle the rain, but hanging out underneath the pine trees in thunderstorms is not my favorite, because those suckers snap pretty easily. So fingers crossed, none of those shenanigans.
Thankfully, you've never had any issues with roof leaks in your RV, so I'm sure everything will be just great. I will say a silent prayer for you, Mr. Kerr, and hope the camping goes safe. That
RV is 200 pounds heavier just because of the amount of caulk that's on the roof I put up there. Why is this thing so heavy? It's got a solid couple 100 pounds of caulk up there.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I agree. Yep. Nope. I am done doing that to the roofs of RV. I will live vicariously through you. Sadly, with all the travel I have scheduled, a little bit of fun stuff with Nova Scotia, but I think I'm desperately trying to avoid getting out of June with 90,000 miles flown this year, but I don't think it's going to be possible. Already over 80. Got at least one more trip back to Vegas this month. Might be two. It's pretty brutal travel year, but getting ready for the exciting stuff. A little bit of Nova Scotia, some Europe to talk about, and still need to recap that Tokyo trip. But Mr. Kerr, safe camping. Hope to see you on the other side with no roof leaks and a fixed water heater. Until we upload again, we've got miles to go. $6 p.m. from Rome. Leaves Seattle at 6. Leaves Rome at 3:45.